Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 393, and today we're doing battle in the Eternal Runeterra Open. And so, if you're wanting to skip ahead to the gameplay, today we're going to be playing Jax Ornn, we're going to play Poppy Lulu, and we're going to be playing Draven Sion Vi. Feel free to skip ahead, but if you want to stick around for a bit, we typically just talk about the lineup, how we came up with the lineup, here in the beginning, and not so much the individual deck lists. Typically, you can scroll backwards in time, find us playing these individual deck lists. I've only done an Eternal video on Lulu Poppy. I haven't done one on Draven Sion or Jax Ornn, but those are back in the channel from the older days of pre-rotation era things, and so those decks may actually be kind of relevant given their newness there. But in terms of the current format, I think we're going to run into a significant number of good decks lineups. And so where I kind of come to this is that we look at the ladder ranks, or the ladder play rate, I should say. Nothing is over 5%, like Thresh Nasus and Bandle City. Concurrent timelines are hanging out at like 5% of the meta, but nothing has really kind of jumped up to the top to really say, okay, I am the format-defining deck. You would even expect something like Concurrent Timelines to have done that before it got nerfed, but there were so many versions of just, say, Banana Blaster and Trundle and things like Jax Vi running around that nobody really decided, hey, this is the best Concurrent Timelines deck. And with the stats being so fucky this season, it's just been kind of tough for that to really come together. And so that leads me to believe, again, it's going to be a good decks meta, and I think in large part, people are probably going to just play a lot of decks that they're familiar with. And so things that have been good in the seasons past, so things like Samira Fizz from last season, Karma Set from last season, Rise from 2 seasons ago, decks like Tokens always turn up in full force in these kind of events, and I think that that's just what we're going to see. And so not so much people playing like triple aggro lineups, people bringing, say, like Poppy Ziggs and Pirates and whatever other aggro deck, or people bringing triple control lineups or whatever. I don't think that's going to be nearly as common as just a kind of 3 good decks lineup. And so my kind of response to that is just to also bring a good decks lineup on our own. I do have a bit of strategy in the selection, but as much as I'd like to bring a triple decimate lineup this week, I'm not going to be doing it, and I think this is actually a terrible time to be playing decimate. As unfortunate as it is to say it, I think that that's the truth. And so we can pull up the stats real quick. Again, the stats aren't very good. Right now, there's just a lot of problems with everyone getting reset to Iron, and then the kinks that need to be worked out with Eternal added into the formats, and that messing with the stats as well. And so they're very just kind of generalized. I've gone through. I don't think it's very important to know that a deck is like a 70% win rate against something or a 55% win rate against something else. I like this to just kind of like merge it into generalities and get it kind of very easy to see up in this space. And so the thing to kind of put forth with this and what we are trying to do with the deck is number one, up here at the top right, or the top center, if you will, I have this section called the big one. This is what I expect to be the most common deck in the format, and that is the Samira, Seraphine, whatever kind of thing, to where you get Seraphine on the board and you play a bunch of Plaza Guardians, and then you blood for blood the Plaza Guardian and you play more Plaza Guardians, and if you have Samira on the board with all these Plaza Guardians, you can make rallies and get a whole bunch of attacks in. Whatever people are actually calling this deck, I just call it the Plaza Guardian deck. That is the one deck I wanted to be good against. And not necessarily good. I'm not looking to just blow it out of the water. I don't think we'll play it frequently enough to say I'm dedicating my lineup to beating this deck. I just want all of our decks to have game against it. And so Jax Ornn, Poppy Lulu, and Draven Sion Vi can all beat it. They all have a fairly coin flippy matchup here. I would say it's more coin flippy than favored, but they're all pretty even, and that makes me feel fairly good. The next thing I wanted to kind of like put forth and say is all of our decks are pretty good against the aggro decks. This is what we're going to see down here in the bottom center, or the left center, if you will, the bring it on aggro section. I feel like that if this is going to be a meta with a lot of good decks lineups, I feel like there's going to be a lot of lineups that just say, you know, here's my random Annie Gen, here's my random Tokens, here's my random Pirates deck, and we should be able to be good against all of those. I never want to be in a situation to where in our lineup we have to ban out Annie Gen. And so all of our decks pretty reasonable against aggro. Jax Ornn is across the board just nutsos against it. There's so much healing and so much power in the deck that it's exceptionally strong in that space. And the rest of our decks have reasonable game against all of the aggro decks. And so I feel pretty good against that. That's not anything that I'm particularly worried about. Down here in the bottom, we have this other stuff section. This is the more mid-rangey, more control decky kind of lineups that will probably turn up, and we may need to look up at some point just to see how the matches go. Again, the decks I really suspect we'll see a lot of out of these are Rise, to which all of our matchups are fine. The Jax Ornn against Rise is bad. The other two decks are good. And then the Fizz Zoe deck. That's the Drissoth Elusives deck that got popularized by old Drissoth here in the past couple of days. The stats on that deck are currently juked. They aren't nearly as good as they appear, but you should just know that that deck is good against decks that are non-interactive. And so if you don't have a way to get out there and handle an elusive, deal with an elusive, you're going to just lose the game. And that was the idea, as being kind of a concurrent timelines beating deck, in the sense that if concurrent timelines wants to play the timelines and then they want to play on curve with big units, you're just going to say, LOL, here's the elusives you can't interact with, I'm going to kill you. And so the Fizz Zoe deck, you know, if Drissoth's piloting a pile of commons in the format, he's probably going to have a positive win rate along the way, and him piloting this Fizz Zoe deck has really kind of messed with the stats for everyone. And so it's not a bad deck, it's fine, but the stats are a little messed due to the pilots that we're running it. And so not one that I'm initially worried about. And then the rest of these decks down here are just things that we're never going to end up banning. And so Annie Katarina will never ban. Thresh Nasus, Action Nasus is something I'd kind of like to ban, but we're just not going to be able to do it. But it's kind of worth calling out those decks. And so as we do move on to the ban section, this is where I think the meta is kind of evolving and where we may end up with some problems. And so the number one ban I'm listing on here is the Anivia deck. This is one that's been kind of strange to me in the sense that it is like less than 1% of the meta, which isn't too surprising. But in every gauntlet that I've run this week, I've played against it at least once, and it's been showing up multiple times. And so for whatever reason, I don't know if it's just because the people enjoy this kind of deck or if it's an actual meta-based decision, Anivia has been turning up in force, and we're just going to ban it. It's a nightmare matchup for everything that we're doing, not getting anywhere near that. It's just a super polarized deck to beat what we're doing, not touching it. And so if Anivia does turn up, that's going to be the ban. Up next, I have what I'm just calling Freylord Weapons. And this is a style of deck that's really kind of hit off here over the course of the past week, to where you're playing with the 3-cost improvised dude that heals. You're playing with a full set of Freylord Menders, whatever the 4/5 Forge heal unit is, and you're just looking to build up a big board and heal along the way. And so Jax Ornn, like we're playing, does this. Trundle Ornn, which is a concurrent timelines deck, does this as well, plays the same units in terms of heal. And Trundle Set does very similar things, to where it's playing all of the Ionia-based heal units, just plays these dudes and heals and stalls along the way until it plays its big spell at the end of the game. Like, all of these decks are extremely similar. They're just stalling until they get their big turn 8 play, and they cause all of our decks problems. And so if Anivia isn't here, these are the ones that we're going to be looking to ban. After that, Bandle City Timelines is arguably still the best deck in the format. I feel like Timelines isn't going to show up too much given the nerf that just happened, but I feel like if we had like another month of Eternal for the format to really kind of solidify, the Banana Blaster Bandle City Timelines deck would probably be one of the top 3 decks of the format. It still causes us quite a bit of problems, being quite good against both Jax Ornn and Draven Sion Vi. And so I'm not super interested in playing against it. And then if that one doesn't turn up, we'll look to ban out Aphelios Victor. That's just another deck that, in terms of decks playing heal, it doesn't naturally play heal, but Victor does tend to come out and be able to generate it. And it's just always been like a real kind of control decky problem between the Victor heal, the Aphelios heal, and then just the go wide nature of the deck, and then having all of the removal to go along with it. And so that is, the kind of idea between the picks and bans and the strategy. The way that I kind of wanted this lineup to work and the idea with it is, again, we're going to be good against the Plaza Guardian deck, but I also want to have a bunch of punch. That's what I call it in terms of having either Overwhelm, Elusive, or Rally, some way to just blast through a board that has 6 units on it. And so as we look at the deck list as we move on to the next section, you're going to see with the Ornn deck, I'm playing the full set of 2-cost Overwhelms along with Ornn and Jax, and then the Improvises giving you the Overwhelm equipment. We have a lot of ways to develop Overwhelm out of that deck. As we're playing the Poppy deck, Poppy, of course, has 6 copies of the rally cards in it. It can most certainly make capable rallies. And then the Draven Sion Vi deck has access to the Vi's, and then the Sions delivering Overwhelm onto Vi along with all of the burn, has a way to get past all of those boards as well. And so that was the kind of idea, the main kind of concept and thing that we're putting together with this deck is we want to be A, good against the Plaza Guardian deck, and then B, have that big source of Overwhelm. I don't want to be out here playing some dirtly fucking control deck going to turn 15 to win with some kind of big spell at the end. I think that we need to be early and mid-rangey to aggressive with a lot of punch. That's what the decks are that I like to play and what I think has the opportunity to be fairly successful in this format. And so, to talk about the deck list themselves, Jax Ornn. This is a deck that's really started to pop off over the course of the past few days. It's making usage of the improvised package with the innovative blacksmiths and the combat cooks. Has the forge package to make one really good unit, and then you're typically using that one really good unit to control the board. And so, as the format doesn't have a ton of stuff like Disintegrate and Vengeance and Hush that can really deal with a singular big unit, this deck looks to grow in that sense. But it also has a lot of interesting interactivity going to it, with Bellows Breath being a big AoE board control spell, the innovative Blacksmith and the Hard Blood Mender being here to give us some heal and some stall until we can get up to the late game portion, and then those big overwhelms that we mentioned between Jax and Ornn generating the Ram, the generated improvised Overwhelm equipment, the Ruthless Raider, just a big collection of Overwhelm units to smash through those boards full of Conchologists and Reggies and the like. And so that's deck number 1. Deck number 2, we did feature deck number 2, Lulu Poppy, in a video, maybe 1 or 2 videos ago. I think it was the last video that we did. Again, this is a deck heavily centered on Poppy. It's looking to control the board with early game challengers, and then as you build a bigger board than your opponent, you're looking to give everyone stats with Poppy, and then give them stats again with a Rally plus Poppy. And so, the fairly straightforward deck here. That video before should have got you fairly primed on this. And Draven Sion Vi is one of those decks that's a bit odd right now in the meta, in the sense that it's really challenging to get stats on decks like these. There's a lot of Draven, Samira, Sion running around. There's just like a lot of combinations of those 3 champions along with Vi, and I really like where this one has stood. And so the kind of breaking point between this one and a lot of versions is we're playing 2-2-2 in terms of the champion split. And we're also playing Draven's Biggest Fan as an additional way to actually come in and draw our Dravens. And so what this allows us to do is this deck naturally doesn't have any Overwhelms or Rallies in it. None of the units have Overwhelm in the deck, but you can pass it out to the units with Sion. And so the kind of idea that you run into for that big punch moment is that you're going to have Vi on the board. She'll have 8 or 10 attackers. So you discard the Sion, the Vi gets the bonus, and then that's the way that you're going to come in and get your big Overwhelm. If that's not enough to close out the game, then you still have access to all of the burn between Mystic Shot, Get Excited, and Blowback to go over top of the opposing board and get those burn spells in for the damages. And so at the end of the day, the Sion can overwhelm, the burn can do it, or you can get a bunch of fearsomes on board and then potentially pirouette away the opponent's only blocker, and then maybe get some fearsome damage in that way. The closest to a kind of burn style deck that we have, but all of these decks are pretty mid-rangey in nature. And so that's the lineup. You know what we have to do before the battles begin, though. We definitely got to pay the pay-to-win price on these things. And these are all decks that I'm pretty familiar with. These are decks that I played quite a bit, so everything is fairly premiumed. I looked across the entirety of the decks. All of the skins are purchased. All of the cards are premium, except for one. And so the parts made whole. We have 1 copy of that in here. We're going to go ahead and turn that premium, but I didn't feel like that was enough. I didn't feel like that really did it for me. And as it stands with our Ornn deck right now, we're using the Snowy Glade. That's a fairly decent skin. That's a nice Christmassy skin. But I felt like if we went and purchased the new... we not get the Pride Bundle on here? I already have all the stuff for it. All right, I'm sure we've gotten it before. We definitely have it now. But I felt like if we went and purchased the Freylord, the Freylord board, that might be enough to push us over the edge. If you didn't notice, we named the Ornn deck 0 wins in the last open. I definitely played Ornn in the last open as well. We went a very solid 0-3 in that one, and Ornn did not get us any wins. And so now I'm hoping that the format's changed a little bit. We've got the new board. Hopefully he can get us at least one. And so there's a 100% chance we do at least as well as we did in the last one. Hopefully we do a little bit better. But that's the lineup. Those are the decks. I'm ready. Let's jump on in. Hopefully we get ourselves some good battles today. All right, off we go. 0 wins last time. Poppy, Sion, into the mix. Oh, absolutely. I will not play on 3 accounts. Jump on in. So what do we got? Looks like a standard lineup at the start. You got the Kai'Sa, Garen, Jarvan. I think that's fine. The Samira, the Samira Seraphine back, or the Plaza Guardian deck, we're fine to keep up. I'm looking to actually take down the Norris Swain. It's going to be good against both our Poppy deck and our Ornn deck. I think it's reasonable. Again, if we had the option to take this Seraphine deck out, I'd be happy to do it if they're playing some other kind of mid-rangey deck, but I think Nora is the one that we want to take away. Start things off with Ornn. Failed to pick a deck to play. Pretty sure we did. I saw on Twitter that some people were having matchmaking problems. I was afraid that happened to us right from the start, but we made it through there. Off against Kai'Sa. I think this should be fine. Let's get rid of everything. Look for a cheaper play. A little bit better with the Artisan. Not a super high-powered start, though. A little bit better. A little bit better. All right.
There are stories in the
Easy start. Easy start. I'm pretty sure we'll end up wanting to forge this blacksmith next turn, but we'll have to wait and see how things play out. Jax is ready to party. Okay.
If I can save a life, I must.
So let's go ahead and go with the blacksmith. I don't want the no block thing. We'll just fall too far behind. And it is pretty reasonable having this 3-4 here, right? Shutting down both the bird and the elder. He's about to pop real quick though. He's gonna hit evolved on his next evolution play, and so we'll have to see if something comes down before we attack. Or you have to worry a little bit that they're just gonna drop tough on you, but I think this is fine. I was looking for quick attack out of this selection, but the combat reel will work. We can choose to not play the time and dedication if we want to drop a fish fight this round, and it's kind of compelling since or dropping the fish fight's kind of nice given that if opponent wants to play Kai'Sa, we're going to have to worry about her next turn, and so maybe we want to be in the space to where the combat cook just guaranteed has 6 attack, and so I'm looking to put the time and dedication onto him. Swing in with everybody. If he has a +2/+2 and takes down the innovative blacksmith, that's fine. If he has a +2/+2 to take down the combat cook, it's a little bit worse, but pretty reasonable turn. All the broad wings, no evolves. Let's see if Kai'Sa turns up. There she is. All right, well, we turned up to the party with 6 attack. That was the plan to try and stop Kai'Sa. So we'll see if one of these fish fights can pop off. This is definitely a problem if she's able to work her magic. Hopefully it's a little bit too slow, right? He can chain vest Kai'Sa to get out of something like this, but that's the only play to worry about. Things look much better now. I'm wondering if we're going to get set up with a board to where we can make a pretty juicy Bellows Breath, right? As it stands, we can kill everything on his board right now, and then we have the tough unit in hand. So if we look to Bellows Breath onto Jax, the Ruthless Raider won't take any damage from it. So I have to kind of wait and see how this plays out. I'm going to bank onto the mana. We'll have 8 next turn. So if we want to Ruthless Raider's Bellows Breath, we can, but we can't play an equipment unless we wait till after combat. And so I don't think the Bellows Breath is going to happen here. Both of our units have Overwhelm anyways, so it's not the hugest of deals. Then at least this way we have the counter strike if we need to protect our Jax for some reason. That looks good, right? Sure does. Too bad we don't have that Battle Fury mana. That's what everybody wants to see. Put your 5 in front. There you go. Alright, still pretty reasonable turn. I don't think we want to fish fight any of this stuff. It's reasonable just to bank through this. He's not going to kill us with an attack next turn, and if he does play another Kaisa, she seems to be like the only way out of this, to me at least. And so if he wants to hook Jax out of combat just to hit for 4, that's not a big deal whatsoever. It's real tempting to just drop this Battle Fury. I do love me a Battle Fury, but the counter strike is fine, and then we can return back with the Ruthless Raider combat reel, look to open, and then Battle Fury where necessary next turn.
Fight or die.
Cataclysm. Where's my Battle Fury mana, man? All right. So do we ever want to just go ahead and play the Bellows Breath? It clears off the hatchling. It doesn't really matter on this board. Let's just keep our bank up, and we'll probably just Battle Fury. You have to worry about stuff like Quicksand, but I can't imagine that Quicksand is really on the table here. All right, what a way to start the day, am I right? Get that Battle Fury kill in right from the start. Feels good. Feels good. Now, we are going to have to play these decks with our Poppy deck. The Kaisa Poppy matchup can be tough. A lot of it's going to come down to how quickly they're able to get that Kaisa on board. They're not playing they're playing more champions, right? So they're not playing the scarier version that has Rite of Callings in it. But I would say both of these matchups are even to unfavorable, and so it's good that we get 2 shots with the Poppy deck. All right, reasonable enough start. I'm going to send away the single combat. It's not going to be a lot of very good targets here in the early game. All right, pretty strong start. Let's skip on this trade. Like we're about to come in and start dropping War Chefs and Yordle Smiths and the like, and I think if opponent gets to trade away the shittiest unit in their deck before we're able to start coming online with ours, it just doesn't really feel like a win. So the boost went on to Yordle Smith. He's pretty strong here. The kind of awkward point is we had one of these 2/2/2 draws, right, where you have a Yordle Smith, a War Chefs, and a Form Up, but we played the bird on turn 1, so you can't really activate everything. I think we want to still just continue with these units. We can like play Poppy on turn 5 if we want. Like I think at the end of the day, if we just end up banking next turn and then drop Poppy on turn 5 with a 2-mana spell, we're gonna be pretty happy with how the board plays out. So let's send in everybody. They're all gonna have quick attack. So if he wants to block with the Broadwing, we'll do the quick attack, reduce it down to 1 health, and then it's only gonna strike back for 1 point of damage. So we won't lose our War Chefs in the way. So right, this isn't horrible. If we want to spend 2 mana this turn, we can. And then as we go into next turn, we can both Poppy and Relentless Pursuit. I just don't really want to lead out with Poppy. If we have her die, it's not a very good turn. And so I guess the question is, do we want to actually play any of these spells? Let's wait till he attacks. I think if the turn passes and nothing happens, we're still in a pretty good spot. Dude drops a chain vest and hits evolve. So we got two choices. I do want to spend some of this mana this turn, and it's going to be, do we want to form up the Yordle Smith and throw it in front of the Voidling, or do we want to single combat down the Domination? And then our units are still going to be healthy after this. I think the Domination's pretty negligible at this point, so let's get in our block this way, drop the form up. Take a bit of damage. This Betheldi Elder is going to be bigger than our Poppy. That's a bit of a pain point for next turn. So what if we just, now that I think about him having tough, that kind of changes the picture of things. So let's do this. Let's get Bird on board. And then we can look to, oh no, we can't single combat. Ugh. I want our trick back. We messed that up reasonably hard there. Poppy being a 5 attack now is pretty relevant, but I guess at the end of the day, she wouldn't have been able to take down the Elder. So if we go like this, everybody will have quick attack. Poppy will be a 6/6. Are we really happy with this? How this is gonna play out? So like we make this attack, he's gonna throw one of his dudes clearly in front of Poppy. God, this is so brutal not having our +2/+2. We not happy with how that turned out.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to do either.
It's like I'm just not certain we can win the game after this point. I guess to a degree we could look to do it this way. So we boost our guy. He's gonna boost Poppy. Right now Poppy has quick attack, and that's a little bit better. Now we can maybe do something with single combat. So if he blocks Poppy with the Void Blaster, got that in just in time. I was gonna say, but now if he blocks Poppy with the Void Blaster, we can look to single combat the damage onto him. So the War Chefs is going to die. Let's go ahead and single combat the Void Blaster. Drop its health just a little bit. We were going to lose our unit down there anyways. Now we still have some pretty reasonable board. Good chance to just attack around what he's doing. I do like picking up the Broadwing. Being able to hook this unit out of combat's fairly strong. Ugh. Now we're too slow for Genevieve. Alright. Man, I haven't regretted so hard not having that +2/+2. We wasted it pretty bad. Holy shit, he's leaving Poppy up? I don't know about that, fam. I don't know about that. Now we have a lot of potential here with the Broadwing hooking stuff out of combat. If we pick up like a Bandle City Mayor, this turn's gonna be sick.
Smell that? A fight's a-cooking.
Take the children to safety now.
So he's a 5. So we can get the Broadwing up to 5 here as well. So if we make our attack like this, Poppy will be a 6, the Broadwing's at 5, the Broadwing can take down this guy, and then his Elder block is just onto the War Chef. Sounds good. Good as it's getting. Okay.
Hey, I'm right here.
And he loses his unit to Poppy. Well, we can Relentless Pursuit here. She's gonna be flipped after this. So if we get to attack, it's going to make a 5 attack War Chef. And then I think we need to come in. So we'll have just this giant War Chef, and it's gonna have impact on it. Right of negation. Okay. I like seeing that. Now the question is, do we want to just maybe wait until next turn? I don't like this Elder hanging out. He's got regenerate and shit on him. He's gonna cause quite a bit of problems, and so let's just go ahead and get this attack in. I feel much better if we have this 5 attack War Chefs with impact, and then opponent has to deal with our real unit, and then if we do draw Poppy in a later turn, she's gonna be flipped then as well. Still curious what these two cards, this one card in hand is.
Die, creature.
Oh yeah, we're just lethal, aren't we? Planned it that way. Forgot Poppy got impact 2. She has it on herself. All right. Little sloppy. Again, I don't like how we used that combat trick on the one turn. That really hampered us later on. But enough to take down victory. 100% better than the last event, right? And all right, so thinking back to our spreadsheet, I don't have it pulled up anymore. I can pull it up after this game. But Trundle Set is the one that's kind of number 2 on our list. It's then that healing space of decks that we just don't want to deal with, and so that's the one we're going to remove. The Sundisk matchup, it's fine for Poppy. It's pretty 50-50 for Sion, and then they should have the edge against Ornn. And then I'm pretty happy with Poppy up against. This is going to be the. It's not. No, it's an Ezreal deck. I'm slipping in mind as to why they're playing Bandle City, right? All right, let's find out. Next game. It's just weird. They usually play Bilgewater for the back alley bar, or they play. Or I'm sorry. Oh no, the back alley bar is a PNZ card. I'm losing it today. That makes sense. It's the back alley bar deck. Uh-oh. We got it. I was gonna say, do we got to restart the game? Did things mess up already? Nah, we're good. So let's hang on to our Ruthless Raider. We'll look for our other cheap plays. See if we can't get out in front of the opponent here. Reasonable enough start on the evens. If they're going to be dropping the earlier Ruin runners, it gives us an opportunity to, on turn 2, play our Ruthless Raider before their dude comes on board. So we could potentially still get our forges and then put the put the vulnerable onto our now pretty big unit.
The winter's claw strikes. Stands
See, there he is.
and wins behind me. I will run you over.
All right, not bad. I feel pretty reasonable about just going ahead and going in and striking. We do have the Troll Chant in hand, but there's not a lot of opportunity for us like popping off on these fish fights, and so I wanted to kind of give him the chance here. Ooh, I think I'm okay with the rake. Our unit's going to be a 5/4. No, it gets +2/+1, but we do have access to troll chants and stuff. Okay.
Here, let me see that.
Maybe he'll just drop Zerath here, right? Maybe. All right, well, let's start it off with the troll chant. See if anything comes in after the fact, and then it was a pretty nice draw with the Hearthblood Mender coming in, being a pretty big play for the next turn. I'm curious to see what turns up. Ooh, Golden Ambassador. No play onto the sarcophagus. So I wouldn't expect him to have a 4 damage thing, right? The Zerath Blast, whatever that thing is called. Okay, good turn. And he didn't open. That's what worried me a little bit. I didn't want to have to play the Entrancing Lure. Because, I mean, this is just a pretty low-powered unit in the Golden Ambassador, but if he opens on us and takes down the Blacksmith, it really kind of limits our plays for the remainder of the turn. Good deal. Blacksmith ready to go, and then we got we got old Ornn ready to pick up the scout equipment a couple of turns from now. So I'm just going to outright fight the Rock Bear Shepherd. I don't want this equipment going back to our hand. That's going to be a little bit too slow. Now we still got a pretty strong board here. Bellow's Breath is tempting. I want to just drop it, but I don't think it's the time. But pretty strong scout attack. Now we're in this place to where even if he comes in and kills the blacksmith, getting to replay the 4-3 scout rake makes all of our units incredibly powerful. So no complaints there. I'm curious here if what we should probably be looking to do. We can't do it currently because opponent doesn't have any units on the board. I kind of want to fish fight away the innovative blacksmith so that we could pull the equipment to hand and then put it on the mender. We can do the same thing with the bellows breath. What I'm getting at here is I want to do an 8-power strike this turn, right? And so the kind of easier way for this hand to go about it would have been to pull the equipment to hand and then put it onto the mender. But this gets us to 8 power as well this way. We might just have to come in and replay the blacksmith a little bit slower.
As my ancestors before me.
I don't know, dude. You're about to pop off with these units next turn, but getting blasted pretty hard here. There's the dude. There's the man himself. He is nowhere near flipping, though. I guess he's going to flip next turn. He's nowhere near flipping now at 1, but as the landmarks pop, he's gonna make his way onto board. All right, let's get the party started. Right, let's just go ahead and slam the big boy down. He's going to get the Xerath flip. I don't particularly care if we lose our smaller units along the way. He's not in obliterate mode yet, and so as long as this scout rake isn't getting obliterated, I don't particularly care. All right, let's see if they got anything coming at us.
Tell the people what you have seen today.
Settle down and get ready for the movie. It won't start till next turn, but you're definitely going to get to watch it. So, all right, scary stuff. We got him right at the edge, but I have to see if it's enough. I'm still thinking back on that turn where we could have fish fought and preserved some of our units and maybe gotten a little bit closer, but it is what it is.
Take your time. I'm immortal. You're not.
Is he doing the flip then? 5? It's gotta stop and worry about this nonsense, right? He's gonna the Xerath is gonna go level 3 next turn. I'm not certain how the ordering on that actually works, in the sense that the Sun Disk pops, and then does he do 5 or does he do 3? Either way, the Xerath will survive all the damage, but it's definitely worrisome. And at any rate, the way we're going to try and end this game after we watch the movie is I'm going to entrancing lure onto the Ornn. We're going to open attack, have the ram going. I want to hook in the Xerath onto our Ornn. Is that the way to go? I mean, I'm really kind of interested in killing off these champions, but maybe we want to hook in the 2/2 so we can potentially attack with Ornn a second time. Just make them have it all.
Somebody hold my bear.
Okay.
You're all in trouble now.
Oh, here comes the ram. The kind of interesting thing with this space as well is if we're able to potentially get a Jax going, right? Say he completely quicksands his way out of this board or something and then kills off the Ornn. We could potentially do something with Jax coming through for an overwhelm as well. So the Jax will be flipped. When Jax is flipped, he has overwhelm. You don't have to worry about the Light of Acacia anymore, and we can put one of these big scout rakes on him. Still potentially overwhelmed through an Azir or a Xerath. Okay. Gonna have to do some more attacking.
Warriors, bear my name into battle.
In the name
Well, he doesn't have any landmarks just yet. That's the scary thing, right? So if he's able to pop off with the Zerath, I guess we do have to worry a touch about him dropping a
Hammer never fails.
dropping a. It's just like if he had a removal for our Ornn, he would have already just played it. It's like now my new point of concern
If you're gonna
is
make sure you
if he has a second quicksand. Let's see. This should kill even if he has a quicksand, and then we can still look to equip in other places. And if this is a like Rite of Negation, then we're completely fine, right? If he falls down to 2 mana here. Ancient Hourglass. So this is still a quicksandable space for him.
somebody hold my beer.
Alright, so no guarantees on getting any kind of kill here, right? He has the second quicksand. He can quicksand Jax and the Ram. But I like the way that we're bringing this forth, having the additional angles of Overwhelm coming in. Wasn't enough. Oof. GG. Good job, Jax Ornn. We had that 1 mana left as well. We probably should have put that Light of Acacia on Ornn to give him quick attack. Did they give him Overwhelm as well? Yeah, we almost let that turn slip pretty hard. I forgot. I was like, I saw all of like the 2 mana cards in our hand and just thought we were done. And should have put that Light of Acacia. I think you can do that. I don't think Jax coming into play counts as your play for it for the turn. So, I mean, giving our Ornn Overwhelm quick attack there would have been pretty sick. He would have had a fair amount less attack, though. I'd have to actually go back and reconsider there. All right, but a little bit worse here. Round 2 against the Sun Disk, and we need a little bit more early stuff to do. And so it's like I'm okay to hold on to the Fallen Riders, but I'd like to, I mean, ideally find a 1-cost cycle, just something to really get the ball rolling here. This is a deck to where we can play Fallen Rider on turn 2 and have it be fairly successful, but that's not really what the deck is aiming for. It's not what we're trying to do, but we most certainly need to come out here and be the aggro. And so, you know, it's like if we play the Fallen Rider and then he has a Rockhopper, then, you know, we're not in like a terrible spot in terms of getting a trade. It's still a 2 mana for 2 mana. And then if he does stuff like this, the Fearsome's able to punch in, which is kind of nice.
Ease your worries.
All right, not worried about the damages. And then who do we want to play next turn? Do we want to play the 4/3 out of the Lost Soul, or do we want to go more towards a Fallen Rider Boom Baboon route? We can't get the second Baboon thing on board, and I'm not like real impressed by it, but it is kind of nice on next turn to spend the 2 mana and then be banked up to 3. So I think I want to just go for the Fallen Rider play here. Give us that little bit of opportunity to get excited if we need to. Probably not going to need to, but if he drops if he spends all of his mana on the 3/3 Last Breath guy, then it's nice to be able to come in and remove it from the board. Or this dum-dum. Let's go ahead and try and get this Rock Bear Shepherd out of here before it activates again. There's the Endless Devout. Okay. So we just got to slam here. It would be nice if we're in a space to where, you know, we can hook the Endless Devout with the Flame Chompers out of the Boom Baboon and have it not die, but we need to get on board quickly and really get our damage rolling.
Come drink.
Oh. Skip past that one. I think we'll most certainly... I'm looking on this space to play the Boom Baboon. I'm going to play the Urchin, discarding the Flame Chompers. I like keeping the Soothsayer on the board because we can hook it out of combat with the Flame Chompers. and it does limit how much shit the opponent can get on the board. And so if they start to, if they start trying to come at us with like a, the thing that puts the 2 landmarks on the board, then it kind of buries that space away from Xerath.
Piltover Enforcer on the scene.
All right, Vi coming in, definitely gonna be hooking in the Xerath with her. I think we want to switch up this board though. Now we're planning on hooking the Soothsayer away. I still like having it on board, but now we get to hook the Rock Bear away, preserve some of our bigger units, and this might be, kind of like the last turn we get to deal combat damage, and so I want to do as much as we can, because we're going to be switching over to this burn plan immediately after this, to where we use the blowback and friends to try and get the opposing stuff off of the board. Now, the thing that is a little interesting here, we don't have, a ton of 1-cost cards, but we could potentially just go ahead and rummage and see if we can't get Vi up to 10. I think that's okay. Like, we don't lose anything doing this. Opponent gets the information on our mana, but oh boy, we did pick up the biggest fan. How relevant is the flip here? In terms of, it does give opponent a chance to respond. Like, as it stands right now, he's only got that 1 blocker, but so what happens? So we attack with everybody. Gonna put a Soothsayer in front of Sump Dredger, a 2/3 in front of a 2. We're gonna hit for 5. He falls to 9.
Move it.
The kind of interesting thing with this is I don't think we want to be... I'm going to go ahead and just go for the biggest fan. I don't think we want to be discarding Sion, right? One of the bigger things we'll do is discard Sion to give Vi Overwhelm. I don't think that's going to happen this game. I'm pretty certain we're just going to drop Sion next turn and look to just have him on board doing stuff, That would have been a real nice turn to just punch in a ton of damage with Vi if we had access to the Overwhelm. It's kind of a scary Overwhelm thing, right? Given that opponent... Why is he attacking with his 1? He's going to let the Vi flip. Huh. I mean, there shouldn't be any way for him to just damage our face, right? We're going to have stuff on board and not have to worry about... worry about Xerath. I think if we play the Sion, we're just not going to have a way to get it killed. So, I mean, how do we feel about this Vi attack now? Her just dealing 5 to Xerath. I think it's okay. Let's take him to 4? Not what I was expecting from opponent. I mean, I guess he can just replay another Xerath or something, but we're really close to just getting the lethal now. And now I feel pretty good about just slamming shit on the board. He doesn't have the Xerath on board. Interesting. Not what I expected at all. I mean, we had a lot of opportunity there to just slam, right? Right? We could have we could have put the Overwhelm on Vi. We could have played Blowback. We had a lot of options there, but I wasn't expecting just the do nothing. Right? That was very, very strange to me. Now, I guess we have to worry. I don't think we get killed by an open attack, right? We do still get to get 2 units on the board. He's running out of mana. We have a blowback in hand to try and stop something, although with the way the opponent sequenced this game, I'm not ultra confident in this blowback being able to resolve. We might have lost this one. We did pick up the burn spell to force the issue, but then is this only when she's attacking? When I strike a unit while attacking. Okay.
Come on.
So not quite how I want it to be, but
Tell it to the fists. Come on.
the block doesn't. Well, it does matter here. We need to. The thing that can happen is like the play we want to make is to blow back Mystic Shot and then just blow up on his face. But I think the way we need to do this is here.
Come on.
And then we can blow back onto the Rockhopper, and then if he's got a if he's got a thing, a Rite of Negation, then we can still play our second removal spell onto the Rockhopper. So I'm going to come in for 2 damage on this one. If this is successful for whatever reason, then we still have the kill with the Mystic Shot in hand. And then if he does have the Rite of Negation, then we get to get the shutdown. All right, I think we're okay. That was important though to not just die to that stuff, right? You don't want to just be all in on that 3 health unit and not be able to Mystic Shot it.
Nobody's pulling your tail while I'm around.
Our waters return life to the desert.
The oasis of the
Right,
dawn
he's
is
down
the
to 1
jewel of
card.
the land.
Let's find out. See what it is. Uh-oh. Opponent doesn't seem happy with that. We'll drop a little laser kitty in here. Alright. GG. A little sloppy. We've been a little sloppy today, but our decks have been powering through power and hard. GG. Alright. Up against the old Vengevine. Dude has 2 decks on our ban list, right? He's got the Jax Ornn and the Aphelios Victor, but the Jax Ornn's a little bit higher up on the list, so that's the one that we're going to take out. He bans down our Jax Ornn as well. Let's just go ahead and get the party started with Poppy Lulu. I think that's it's a reasonable enough match against the Victor Aphelios deck. So see if it turns up. It does. All right, nice little curve to start with. We don't have any of our high-powered champions, but I do like having this quick and early curve coming out, and then it's also a lot of the removal out of this deck does actually deal 3, right? If the way that we talk about playing against like the Seraphine decks is a lot of like high notes and Mystic Shots and stuff, and so they don't have that ability to really deal with 3, but this one does play a ton of Get Exciteds and play it plays a bunch, or not a bunch, but some of the Aftershocks, and then Aphelios can also generate a 3 attacker, and so I'd like to be able to just get a little bit more health on board. I'm gonna be able to. Yordle Smith is ready to party. Well, he's safe this turn. There's no way to deal 3 for 2 damage. Now we'll have to see if we pick up another cheap play. We do. It's pretty tempting to take it slow here, but I mean, I think at the end of the day, if he like spends the mana to get a takedown on the Mayor, I think that feels okay, right? He's not going to be adding anything else to the board, and then we're still going to get a big attack in for the turn, and it's not one of our like super high priority units, but I just feel like it's easy to kind of get in this mindset with Ranger's Resolve to where you don't want to just like Ranger's Resolve a single target spell, right? And so it sucks a little bit if opponents say, plays that Aftershock and then we don't really come out and get in front of it. But I like how that, I just feel like we are going to get an opportunity to get a little bit of a better one, just a little bit. So I think that little bit's probably going to be next turn. I'm looking to pick up Shark Trainer here. We can one bank this turn. Have the Rangers resolve mana, and then next turn, play the Shark Trainer. Victor's going to be at 3 attack at that point, right? He's going to pick up this point of attack this turn. Is that how we want to do it? Or do we just want to... I think I still want the Shark Trainer, but we do also have this opportunity to try and hook Victor down with the Fleet Feather Tracker. And I think that's where I'm getting a little bit better vibes for it. And so let's do it this way. I don't think we have to worry about damage this turn. 2 mana won't deal 3, so we're safe there. Now we can kind of get in this spot to where we add the Fleet Feather Tracker. We might actually get a pretty good hit with the Wandering Shepherd if we pick up Quick Attack or something, and then looking to get the Lulu support Quick Attack challenge with the bird. Strikes me as being pretty good. I think we want to just go big on this board. So Wandering Shepherd can come in. Didn't find it. A little unfortunate. We want the Overwhelm equipment without that ability. And we still have a couple choices here. I'm most certainly, at least with this board, I think we would just be outright losing our Lulu to the Sump Dredger, but I do still like this idea of, say, adding War Chef, supporting Lulu up to 4/4, then he's going to block Lulu. He's going to block Lulu with the Dredger, and then at that point she would fall, but if she was a 4/4, we'd be able to get out of this. So yeah, Lulu's gonna die for the round. Unfortunate, but we get the clear on the board. Us having 2 Bandle City Mayors, a Wandering Shepherd, and then coming out with the Shark Trainers next turn. It feels like a decent advantage, right? We're coming in for the 8 for the round, taking them to 10, and he's gonna have to do some building up next turn. I dig it. I don't know about you, but I don't know about you, but me, I dig it. Get this giant Overwhelm package next turn. Sharktooth coming in. He's going to attune. We can fish a whack him. Make a big open attack with this 8 attack overwhelming Shark Boy. Have the little shark following up as well. Sounds good. I'm definitely going to want to open attack next turn. I don't want... There's a bunch of bullshit that'll come out of this deck that stuns units. I definitely don't want to be getting stunned next turn. So we'll open. Maybe we'll pick up a rally along the way. That would be... Feels like it should be pretty game over if it hits. Rangers resolve. Okay. Not gonna risk it. Why don't we get the fucking shark thing? You have to have the spell mana. I ran into this before. It's such bullshit. Okay. You can't spend regular mana on the shark. I always forget. I knew I'd run into this before where the trainer didn't work how I wanted to, and this is it. This is why. So he gets the heal. We're still pretty far ahead on board, but I was intending on having our attacky bro this turn. And I'm not willing to Rangers resolve this. I don't care if we lose the Wandering Shepherd. It's not that big of a deal. Oh, Shark Trainer. I knew I'd been in that spot before where you attack with the trainer and then the shark doesn't come out. That's dumb. Specifically has to be spell mana. Okay. Alright, now he gets Aphelios on board. That was a game breaker right there. Like, I would be much happier if I'd known we weren't going to get our shark. I would have played that a little bit differently. We might still be okay here, but who knows how much they'll pop off with Aphelios on board. What is this? We got Calibrum onto the Shark Trainer. We'll say okay to that. We'll Ranger's Resolve through whatever the second spell is. Get excited picking up Gravitum. Makes sense. I'd like to at least make him play the Gravitum this turn, and so I'll protect the Shark.
Smell that? A bite to cooking.
Right, so he can stun the Shark and then... Oh, he's going to go for the Mystic Shot. Interesting. Interesting. Well, let's make our warships the big overwhelm unit here. I intend to hook Aphelios out with the Broadwing, and then if he wants to block the warships, that's where it's going to be. This is another spot we just can't go slow here.
Where are we going?
So I think we want to send it in like this. This deck typically doesn't play stuff like a 1 damage AoE. And so I don't think we need to be playing around Get Excited like this, though. So let's do it like in this way.
Where are we going? Eat up, friend.
We're taking him to 1, aren't we? Take him to 1. Oh, a Star Shaping. Oh my gosh, so much heal. Alright, get him to 2. Clear out the Moon Boy, but he's got 2 expensive Celestials in hand. He's going to be able to start playing those, so need something fast, something stat.
The future is steel and science.
We're not finding any of our rallies either. This would be a pretty choice turn and a pretty choice spot for a rally. Not gonna lie. So Victor hit Challenger. Okay. I feel like this one slipped away.
Another brilliant design.
All because of our Shark play, huh? All because of our Shark play. There's Poppy.
Analyzing approach.
So, I mean, it's no telling what could come out of this turn, right? If he's got 2 big Celestial cards in his hand, so if it's a big Celestial unit, I don't really care. But with things like Supernova and with things like the big 3 or less AOE, those are all pretty problematic. Living Legends, okay. I'm curious if he's gonna go for like a big play or just a wide board. He's only got 10 mana out of it. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, the Victor's flipping, though. That's scary. There's so much ridiculous stuff can be coming out of these. I thought the Charger was going to be free. Free cards are pretty good here, not going to lie. Silver onto Gravitum, is that what just happened? And the Scourge. Oh boy. Okay. Damn. Well, that one's on me. If I'd realized that we were going to make that Shark Trainer attack and not actually get a unit, I would have played that a little bit differently. That was the big key and point to our play. Is having that Shark come out and get the width for the turn, and then just not having it come out. That's so fucking dumb. That it only eats spell mana to come forth. Like nobody's really chomping at the bit to get Shark Trainer into their decks, and so I don't know why it's worded so weird. It's so wild too. It's like I know over the course of like 2 of the videos we've done over the past week, it's like I've known that I've run into situations to where, Shark Trainer doesn't work how you want it to work. And I just couldn't remember what they actually were. So how are we going to go into this? Let's lead off with the War Chefs. We're going to want to have... I want to have 3 units on board next turn. I want to have the Smith and the Bell Ringer. And then we'll take it a little slower with Lulu. Like, he hasn't dropped his initial volley of removal spells, and so I'd like to just kind of fill the board with the bad ones before the good ones come in. The downside to this kind of angle is you kind of want to have Yordle, Smith, and Lulu on board at the same time, but I don't think the quick attack's going to be super important. Like, they do play like random stuff like Scrap Scuttlers and Jury Rigs to actually throw down blockers in this spot, but it's not anything that we really need to be quick attacking into, and so I'm just going to go with our more resilient units for the turn. Make it not as good if he's going to come in and try and play a Mystic Shot style thing, and then we'll boost our 1 health unit so it can survive a Seraphine block.
How about a duet?
Okay. So he blocks our War Chef but doesn't play any spells in combat. Interesting. There's Poppy. Alright, let's get ready to go big. Hopefully this is too much for the deck to overcome. Gonna Shady Character us? Oh, a Chempunk Shredder. Okay. I think that's good. So let's come in with the Poppy. We're gonna start with Lulu next turn. And whatever his AoE kind of thing is, hopefully we can just Ranger's Resolve through it. So I want to play Lulu first to give her that chance to get the Ranger's Resolve before the spell comes in, right? I'd rather have Lulu Tuft than Yordle Smith Tuft. See if we can't get out of this round. Oh, Mystic Shot Disintegrate's a different story. But that's okay. We're still going to have a pretty strong turn for the round. Yordle Smith can come in. Everybody's going to have quick attack. If you saw our tribute to Microsoft Paint video, you should be a little bit more familiar with these attacks, but everybody's coming through here. Everyone has quick attack. We'll boost up our weakest units. Looks good.
And here we see the rarely seen pit.
I'm so mad about that Shark Trainer, man. That's dumb. That's dumb. That's the way life goes, man. Takes it all. Okay. Well, we got a rally ready to go. Hopefully that's enough. So we can play everything this turn if we want. We have 8 mana, so we can Ranger's Resolve, Relentless Pursuit, War Chefs, and Help Picks if we want to do it all. I'm going to go ahead and drop the Help Picks on Lulu. The opponent does have a lot of opportunity just to do weird shit this round, and so let's at least give Lulu a little bit of protection for the turn. Then ideally, we'll be off to the races with our Relentless Pursuit. I looked over, got a kitty just looking sad. He's just hanging out on the floor. The door's not open. He can't get his way through. Let's see. This game's been figured out. You can pay a little bit of attention to the kitties, right? Goes for a Tellstones. Okay. Makes sense. Away with the quick attacks. Still feeling pretty good though. The Ranger's Resolves are going to do essentially everything that we needed in terms of our units can survive these 1 health units, and we should be in a spot to where we just get to open attack next turn. So let's boost the War Chefs up. That's our lowest health unit. He's going to have to block with everything. I'm just going to go ahead and burn a Ranger's Resolve to make sure all of our units both survive and don't have any damage on them. So you don't have to worry about random stuff like we're probably not playing Scorched Earth, but, you know, we're open attacking next turn and winning the game, and so let's at least make it as defensible as possible. All right, man, that feels so brutal. Like Poppy Lulu should have gotten the 2 wins there. I feel like, and it's just we didn't read our cards, I guess. When it comes down to it, we just didn't read our cards. All right, so we're on the even attacks in this one. I'm not the hugest fan of Fallen Riders in these matchups, so I'm going to go ahead and just send it away. If we had a Zonite Urchin, then I'd be willing to hang on to it because it's such a good discard on turn 1. But it just dies to everything in this match, and so if you're not able to just kind of come out and high roll with that early pressure, then it just doesn't really feel worth it. Now here, I'm not dropping Draven's biggest fan. He's not going to get anything done. I would like to be able to pick up another Draven a little bit later on if we need to or want to, but not at that point right now. And I'll happily put this damage onto Seraphine, like to get her off of the board. We have a pretty somewhat decent blowback kind of lined up to try and take her down with if we want. Alright, all the Dravens. No need for the biggest fan today. No need. So are we gonna blow back Seraphine? Time will tell. Let's go ahead and just discard this Draven's biggest fan. Want to see if we pick up a discardable, like hitting the Lost Soul here. It does give us the opportunity to take Seraphine down. These like 1 health units aren't particularly strong. Like if you have to run a jury rig into this thing, it doesn't feel very good. And so I don't feel ultra confident in this Urchin getting anything done, but we don't need to take care of the Seraphine right away either. And so as it stands, assuming opponent just sends it back to us with their 3 mana built up, I'm going to look to just add Draven and then hook Seraphine out of combat with the Flame Chompers. We'll build up to this blowback turn a little bit later. Some fumes, sure. Get him for those damages, am I right? Ooh, a Mystic Shot. Gotta like seeing that. You don't have to. I'm choosing to. Choosing to. So let's continue powering on, right? Seraphine, not that close to flipping. It's a little scary if he's going to take a big bank this turn and then look to, say, like, play Sputtering Song Spinner. Like, the Song Spinner gets him really close, but we can also perhaps consider, like, if we pick up another discard card, do we really want to, say, double Spinning Axe the Flame Chompers? And we're pretty close to being right there with that play. It's pretty dangerous, but might get us something. I'm just really curious what the opposing hand looks like to where he's dropping Mystic Shots onto our 2-1. If it's just ultimately like a super slow draw. The other thing that's kind of interesting with this next turn is there ever a spot to where we just want to rummage real fast and see if we can't find a Sion, so we can give our Vi Overwhelm. We'll see. So I'm good with Sump Dredger. It's like I'm leaning a little bit more and more towards wanting to just blow back this Seraphine. It feels like the opponent has a fairly awkward hand here. And depending on what this spell is, like if he's going to play, say, a removal spell onto a Sump Dredger, and then we get the opportunity to put a removal on top of it and just attack in, that's pretty huge. He stuns onto Vi, damage onto Sump Dredger. Doesn't disintegrate the Sump Dredger, though. It's just like my ultimate worry with Seraphine is if she's going to have, you know, just like an additional copy. If you just get to replay a different Seraphine, it puts us in a fairly bad spot. And I'd rather be playing our burn spells next turn. Okay, I'm just going to come in with Draven. Like, he doesn't have the Song Spitter, at least on this turn, and there's a real chance we don't get to attack again the rest of this game, and so let's at least try and chunk in for 7 damage. Fuck. Alright. Good play. Good play. Ravenous Flock. Getting in for 0 damage on the turn is pretty painful. Pretty painful. We're going to have to try and pop Seraphine as fast as we can now. She's going to be able to chain off spells real quick. The thing that's kind of our saving grace for the turns, he only has 6 mana. Oh, he does have 7 mana. I'm going to say, if he doesn't have the mana to Song Spinner, then we're in a decent spot. But I guess if he's going to Song Spinner, he's only going to get to copy 2 of the spells. And then he can't replay his Seraphine after that. So we still have some options there. The thing that makes me like super interested with this hand is actually having the Vault Breaker around. Like it's just such a kind of big chunk of damage out of nowhere that doesn't involve our burn spells. And so it's like if we do make it to our next attack and we can chunk in a bunch of damage with Vault Breakers, then being in a spot to where we can save our burn for the next turn, the opposing deck can't actually burn us out, right? They aren't playing Ezreal. They have to get their Plaza Guardians going, and so it gives us that chance to blow up over top of the Plaza Guardian since they have to actually attack in combat. What's happened? And he rummages and he discarded just a Seraphine. He discarded 1 card there. Advanced intel for the flip. It's only got 4 mana now, though. Plaza Guardian number 1. Got to assume he's going to start coming at us with Blood for Bloods and iterative improvements. So very good chance if they get to make copies of the Plaza Guardian, they're going to be able to come in for the turn. Yeah, iterative improvements the one. These big old Plaza boys now. So how much of this can we take? I think if we take 12, fall to 7, that's pretty safe. So we can get out of the turn with just the Reborn Grenadier. So I'm going to look to rummage the Grenadier away. Let's just go ahead and do that now. If we come up with Pirouette, we might want to play it. Probably not going to play it, but... Let's see, Fallen Rider and a second Grenadier. Okay. Oh boy, another one. Ah, Jesus. Oh boy, are you serious? Okay. Okay. So, I mean, how can we even get out of this one at this point? We can stop 3. Right? God, he just naturally had 3. That's why his hand was so slow. Well, we're gonna have to just pick up Sion. Right? That's really our only way out of this. And so let's add the Fallen Rider as just another... Oh, there's no reason to. We can just give up our Draven at this point.
This is gonna hurt.
We fall to 7. Oh my god, there's so many Plaza Guardians. Well, alright, Sion. Where you at, my friend? That's not him. Fuck. So we don't have any real way around this. We can try and attack down some of these things, but just had no opportunity to strike with Vi. So what can we do? We can like hit him for 3 and make him fall to 10. Might be able to get enough blockers on board. As it stands, we can get a Revenant, double Fallen Rider. And then have enough blocks to only take one of these. Fucking A. Any removal spells is a pretty bad spot for us. Okay. The Lost Soul, not gonna do it. Damn. That's brutal. That's brutal. I'm still upset about the Shark Trainer. Oh, man. Well, I'm happy enough with how that went. Like, the Seraphine didn't blow up hard enough on us to really be upset about. But, I wasn't expecting so many Plaza Guardians. I thought we were going to be able to get, like, one attack in, like, one little bit of damage and be able to punch through. But having 6 Plaza Guardians come in, I guess it makes sense though, the way that those games played out. But I mean, the thing that kind of like rolls through my head is if you have that like real Plaza Guardian heavy draw, then you're not really gonna wait until it just costs 1. You're probably gonna put down one of them just to ensure that you have a blocker. And it was very, very odd to me that we got so far into the matchup without having it turn up. So very weird. But on to the next one here. This is an easy ban on Thresh Nasus. I'm happy enough to play against either of these. Again, the Seraphine decks, whatever to play against. Annie Katarina is one of the weaker of the control decks. I'm fine to play against it as well. Let's start off with Poppy again. Fucking Shark Trainer, man. It's disappointing. Alright, next battle though. Hang on to this Yordle Smith, make sure we have a cheaper play. It's not super ideal against Seraphine, right? We talked about this, we'd prefer to have our 3 health units to our 2, but having a Yordle Smith is better than just no play on turn 2, and so I'll get you on the board, my friend. Hope you're ready to party.
I'm done right. Let me do it.
And then I'm looking to come out with the Bandle City Mayor. We don't have a very aggressive draw for the turn. And so,
Doesn't have to rhyme.
just getting this kind of mana-centric way of going about it strikes me as a little better. Very interesting attack with Seraphine. I think I'm willing to just go ahead and put the damage on her. This is fine. Why would he do that? That's so weird. Yeah, you have a removal spell, but... Huh. Okay. It's just like the rest of our units get to threaten down this Seraphine. Like, you could see in that previous game to where we had to make like so many decisions around how we were going to get damage onto Seraphine, and like he just kind of did it to us for free. It's so interesting. All right, let's see if we can't get some value out of this Mayor. I didn't want it to just immediately take the damage. Now, at least with it at 3 health, it should take 2 cards to get the damage down onto the Mayor. Picks up the Plaza Guardian, sure. Definitely want to be spending out some of this mana now. I'm curious, like, what happens if we play Poppy? It typically kind of sucks to have Poppy be the first one that you come out and play, but let's take it a little slower. I'm going to add Grandfather Fae, Yordle Smith, Hungry Owlcat. Just kind of try and bait out a little bit of this removal. But if he's not going to target down the Mayor, feels pretty good. So now I'll spend the mana on the Owlcat because we're going to next turn we're gonna play Poppy and we're gonna play Yordle Smith. Is that right? It's okay. We're gonna take the Poppy mana and spend it next turn. Now that we've picked up form up, let's give it a shot.
Swing low.
See if he's got a disintegrate play for, or if he's just coming at Poppy with removal spells and we get to form up through it. It's gonna be huge. Okay. Okay, random cards. I don't know if that was positive or if that was negative. I'll be real with you. I don't know what was supposed to happen out of that, but I just don't know. I just don't know. This doesn't get us any better, right? Poppy's never getting quick attack on this attack. The flow just rolling in. Jesus. Zing, Poppy, here comes the damage. But she's at least safe for the moment. So this is a pretty strong attack. Giving all of our units this boost is a pretty big deal, especially already having a Relentless Pursuit in hand. So if we get to drop Lulu next turn and Relentless Pursuit, I'll like where we're standing. The Seraphine's going to be real close to flipping, right? He gets 3 level ups off of the Ebb and Flow, but it's very hard for him to just come in and pop off this next turn. This is just like such a challenging Poppy to maintain on board, and we have another one in hand, and so I'm going to let that spell just roll through, and then I'm going to look to Relentless Pursuit Poppy this turn. So he drum solos. This game should just be done. Should be. Famous famous last words as you come up to battle against Seraphine, but the game should be done at this point.
Remember what I told you?
Swing low, send him sky high. I'll make you proud.
So how do we feel about this with the Plaza Guardian on the board? I mean, we have a couple of options. We can... I think the way we want to go about this is I'm going to Relentless Pursuit. We can quick attack our whole team now that the Yordle Smith is up to 3/3. Poppy's going to grow the team up to 4, and then we can form up on the Poppy so that she takes down the Plaza Guardian, and this should end the game. Again, opponent does have this opportunity to untap with Seraphine on the board. I'm curious now, actually. I mean, it's we should have thought about it a touch longer in terms of what if we just attack, accept that Poppy's going to die, and then look to single combat away the Seraphine. I can already tell you what's going to happen next turn. They're going to play a Sputtering Song Spinner, and we're going to have to like really fade whatever the fuck's about to come out of this thing. Like, get ready for some serious nonsense to happen next turn. But I don't know. This is a pretty compelling board to have to deal with. And with the open. Right, he can block 1, but then he has to have like 3 ways to stop all of these other units. I think that should be a pretty tall order. Opponent says it is. I agree. Whew, okay. Well done, Poppy deck. Well done.
Quest complete. On to the next one.
Opponent requested unnerf Poppy. She came through and blasted hard. You're welcome, unnerf Poppy. I'm glad to get to attack with Poppy. Alright, GG. So what do we got now? The Draven's biggest fans start with Draven already in hand. Let's just go ahead and mulligan him away. See if we can't get a little bit more interesting early game action here. Up against the same deck, the Seraphine Samira, and so we'll draw him on turn 3. It's okay. Not a particularly high-powered draw.
The party has arrived.
But kind of same as the last game, I'm going to go ahead and throw down this Boom Baboon. If he's got the Seraphine and we get to put damage on it, then great. If he doesn't have it, more great. And if he plays something to come in and try and deal damage to these things or something, then kind of whatever. The card that would be the worst here would be a Scrap Scuttler, but I'm happy enough to eat a Pirouette here. If he's going to forego something like a If he's going to forego something like stunning a Sion or stunning a stronger unit later, then I think that's okay. So in this spot, I want to kind of bait him into spending mana on the Flare. I'm going to Mystic Shot the Samira, but we might as well let him spend the mana on boosting her up first before the removal comes in. Don't have to worry about all-outs, right? This isn't this isn't Fizz Samira to where you drop that Mystic Shot and then just start squeezing your butt cheeks real hard. Not today, not today. All right, our boy Draven coming in. Bring the squad. Caustic Riff. Okay. So we still get a 3-piece in, still got our Flame Chompers. It's not bad. We haven't drawn a lot of the discard outlets of our deck, but the opponent hasn't really done anything either in terms of leveling up their champions and stuff. Encore into Behold. Okay. Can't wait to see what comes out of that. Say our prayers to RN Jesus and see what happens.
Vi stands for vicious.
So we can add in Vi. It should be safe. If he wants to Calling Strike, I'm fine with throwing out a Spinning Axe to ensure that she gets to survive. All right, opponent's got a Plaza Guardian in hand. Not too worried about it at the moment. We have a lot of ways around Plaza Guardians right now. And this Vi should be able to blast pretty hard this turn. He really needs a pirouette or some way to deal with her, since we can hook 2 units out of combat. So she might be able to boom pretty hard here. We'll see. How hard do we even really want to go with this? It's... I'm pretty certain I want a Spinning Axe a Grenadier onto the board. I don't think we want to give them an opportunity to play any more cards, though. Well, they could probably play everything at fast speed anyways, and so I'm not going to play around any more Caustic Rifts. I think I'm done with that. Let's focus on Draven just a touch. So I'm going to discard the... I want to discard the Fallen Rider, boost Draven, add the Fallen Rider. Now we can see. Like, it's just kind of one of these spots to where it's like he's played 1 pirouette. I don't know how many pirouettes they're playing, but we shouldn't have to worry about too many more. Like, if he has 1 more, whatever. But I would assume that, like, all the spells that he's going to play on our units, he's just going to play in the middle of combat anyways. And so let's at least go ahead and get our bigger unit down. And then we can look to... depending on what happens here, if he adds a unit, we can consider putting our Flame Chompers on the board, and then if he doesn't play a unit, we can look to Reborn Grenadier. So he has High Note, sure. All right, well, what are the chances that he really has something for Vi? Like, I don't think she dies this turn. There is a kind of like pain point to where he can put a cheap unit on the board. Oh shit, we got him to 3? Okay. Good stuff. I was going to say there's a chance that he can have like a jury rig to put a unit down, but I don't think we have to worry about that anymore. I did the mathematics for it and the worries are gone. So there shouldn't be any heal. Like, I don't know, Behold the Infinite can hit Golden Sisters, but we're faster than that. I think we're just good to go here. Blood for blood, Plaza, sure thing. Discard some stuff. Deal 3 with opponent at 3. That'll do it. GG. All right.
And that's a knockout.
That's a knockout. V stands for victory. GG. Whew. It's hard to tell with these videos, but I just took a nice nut break. Good. Get some nuts, put them in your mouth. Cashews this time. There's a lot of things that you could say when I just took a nut break. It was these nice Planters cashews, rosemary flavor. But I'm gonna have two of them. Say something about these. Say something about chestnuts. Say something about chin nuts. Nut break. Sounds like a slang term for a self pleasure sesh. But this nut break, the nut break we just took. Rosemary and sea salt planters. All right, though, on to this next set of battles. Rise is kind of an interesting space in that Rise, goes pretty murder mode on our Jax Ornn deck. This is a lineup that actually has a couple of decks that are strong against Jax Ornn, but on the flip side, Poppy murders Rise, and so it's a kind of interesting one to potentially keep up. I mean, it's just one of these decks that you can just like, oops, I win against a bit as well. But, like again, these as the Seraphine deck, that's whatever. We'll leave it up. As far as the Nora, Katarina, Annie goes, like Katarina, Annie, I'm typically pretty fine with, but like the addition of Nora in the portals does give me a little bit of pause, as it seems fairly strong against Draven Sion as well. So let's lead off with Draven Sion, see what happens. He took out our Poppy deck, which I understand probably is the one that he's worried about the most. But I think that the Ornn deck can still, perform against Rise if we need to. It's not like it's like a 75-25 in their favor. It's probably a little bit, more like a 55-45 and 60-40 or so. And so certainly manageable. All right, but up against Rise, we start with the biggest fan. That's going to get us a Draven for 3. I'd like to find a 2, and so I'm going to mulligan everything else away. See if we can't do our aggro thing here in the early turns. Boom, Baboon turns up. All right. Almost skipped over that attack. You can't be doing that in the big tournaments. You gotta focus and make sure that attack happens.
We each hold a world within.
All right, boom, Baboon in. I'm pretty interested in trying to blow back away this Eye of the Dragon 2 turns from now. I'm curious what happens on this next turn. It's like I don't want to be in a spot to where we have to biggest fan and then spinning Axe of Flame Chompers onto the board. That doesn't feel like a particularly strong turn. So we are going to be contesting with a Dragonling.
It is time.
That's a very bold attack. I don't know how much I agree with that one, but I'll accept it. It does let us get in this spot now to where a single spinning axe onto this dude will let us take it down with the Flame Chompers, and so interesting that came in. We're not going to do it this turn, but a couple of turns from now, that's definitely on the radar. Let's boogie. Let's get in there, Draven. You give me that axe. So interesting. I'm still I'm still bamboozled by the Eye of the Dragon attack. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of times to where you want to just leave this stuff up so you can attack around it, but it's odd. A lost soul comes in.
I fight with my spirits, not my fists.
Yeah, good luck with that, kiddo.
It's a little odd. I'm really considering just banking through the whole turn. It's like if we go for the blowback onto the Eye of the Dragon and then he has a tag out, I think it's okay. I guess the question for the turn really comes down to, like, what are the chances that he has 2 spells for the turn and gets to generate the Dragonlings? I don't think it's particularly high, but on the other side of the coin, we can look to just get Vi down. And Vi is like pretty dangerous in this matchup in the sense that she's so expensive. So I think I'm still okay with this. It does let us at least get our Flame Chompers on board, gives us a discard for Lost Soul. Next turn, we can look to add both the Revenant and the Urchin and have a fairly big board. And now I think if he's, spending spells to protect this Eye of the Dragon, that's a bit of a win for us. But even if he's spending like a bunch of spells and shit and gets 2 Dragonlings on the board next turn, they're not going to be, A, that effective since he's already at 18, and B, they can't block a whole lot of stuff. So I think this is fine. Treats up the Rise. Drops a Jury Rig. Okay. So how do we feel about this? Do we ever want to just go for Vi here? It is kind of nice having this additional challenger. Like, it's the end of the day. Like, say we play Vi, and then he has tag out to send her back to hand. That's fine. It's a very expensive way to try and manage Vi. And then on the flip side, if he just stuns her, then she's still out here causing problems and causing threats. And so I think it's okay to have her down here on board. So now with this, let's discard a Spinning Axe to Spinning Axe. Put the thing onto Flame Chompers. Want the Flame Chompers onto the better unit. So if he wants to stun something, I guess the stun here doesn't matter a ton, but I would prefer these shenanigans to land onto the Flame Chompers and not so much Vi. Right, so if his answer is here to play a tag out, then he's going to be tagging out the Flame Chompers, or if he tags out the Vi, it's not nearly as scary. Okay. Stuff's happening. The game's moving. The pieces are puzzling, you know?
I long for the day when this is over.
And Rise is on board. It's expensive. He's expensive. So how do we want to handle this? I'm leaning towards dropping Draven, dropping the Zonite Urchin on the Spinning Axe, and then seeing where that gets us. I like having as much of a full board as we can here. Let's see what he brings in.
I fight with my spirit, not my fists.
So again, I don't think he's playing 2 spells this turn. Even if he does, it's not the end of the world.
Rock got me good.
There's the Sion.
Sad eyes routine.
Okay. He's just got to do something about Vi, right? But what if we add the Sion in as well? We can potentially discard the other Sion. That strikes me as kind of questionable. But the problem for this turn is getting hit by Concussive Palm, right? I don't want to get Concussive Palmed on this round. Let's just swing.
I don't need a plan. Trouble coming at ya.
Let's see what happens if he just lets it go. We aren't actually threatening his Rise, so there is a non-zero chance that he just lets this happen. But now we're getting, pretty close to burn range to where it should be tough for opponent to try and pop off and actually kill with Rise next turn. And then if he does start trying to deploy a bunch of runes this turn, we can we can just try and kill off the Rise. Do we want to actually try and kill Rise right now? I think I do. Make him play a bunch of spells and try and soak out that mana before he flips. We are currently short of the burn, so if he has to deny something out of this, it still feels pretty strong for us. A lot of potential to just keep him from winning. Okay. Boom Baboon says, what up? Alright, there's the third one. It's going to get the flip onto Rise. That's why we dropped the thing last turn.
War. It breaks the best of us.
Rip little fella down here.
Is Rise. I am the Rune
I think we're okay. I mean, we'll have to see at the end of the day if he's able to just OTK us this turn, but it just feels like if we go for it on the previous turn, like we get super all in and he's got a concussive palm, then it's lights out. So that should do it, right? He can play the rune. Oh. Oh. Okay.
Now you will understand. I will stand this madness no longer.
And a Mystic Shot. And so we might as well just get Sion on board, right? It's like none of our overwhelms are big enough to matter, and he's already got a Rune Prison in hand. It's at him. I did not expect to be getting into this turn. So, I mean, if he has Concussive Palm now or whatever, I'm ultimately not super surprised by it. He did just draw 2 last turn and not kill us, and so there is that aspect of the matter. Okay, so that can happen. I'm going to Spinning Axe, discard to Flame Chompers. Now make him answer a lot of different questions, right? We're going to pull Rise out of combat. He has the 1 Rune Prison for somebody big, but he's going to need 2 to kind of try and stop this, and so hopefully it's enough, you know. He seems to be dropping a lot of cards on the board. Rune Prison and Unworthy Soul. Okay. I didn't consider this one. Like, this is actually like the real pain point in the matter here is him only falling to 6. Since if we'd taken him to 5, we could draw a 3 damage burn here and win the game. We'll probably draw one here just to illustrate the point, but okay. We definitely, missed that shot. All right. A few different angles we could have taken in that game, but didn't go for all of them. It's so tough when you're like the things I don't like about Vi in matchups like this are you have to at certain points just be like fuck it and go for it. I prefer to be able to set up these spots to where you're able to develop more width, and so you instead of say having like if you're gonna have 12 attack of units, not having like a 2-drop, a 2 power, a 2 power, and an 8 power, you'd rather have say like 4, 4, and 4. So if they concussive palm something, you still get in for 8. Instead of getting in for a smaller amount of damage, but it's tough to navigate in those spots, and sometimes you just got to be like, fuck it, I'm doing it, You can say I'm going for it, and we didn't just go for it there, and that might have ultimately been a mistake. It's tough though. I tend to be a lot more inclined to just go for it with say like Poppy as opposed to things out of the Vi attacks. But into this one, reasonable start for us. I was happy enough to go Apprentice into Raider into Blacksmith, but we picked up Rise on turn 2, always quite strong. Happy to see him turn up. Now we'll see what opponent does. I assume he's going to maybe try and challenge down the Weaponsmith's Apprentice, which is okay. I don't think he's going to get involved with Jax, but I mean, if he wants to flare and play a Mystic Shot and try and take Jax down in this combat, I'm pretty fine with it. No thank you, Disintegrate. Very big troll chant. I think people have forgotten that troll chant exists. And so, not a bad spot, not a bad round. Now, we have this option to maybe get the jacks flipped. I don't want to open this turn. We have to decide if we want a Ruthless Raider favored Artisan or if we want to just go for the Blacksmith. And I guess up against this deck, they don't have like a lot of early stuff, right? It's not like we're not say like playing against Trundle set where we're gonna start adding shit to the board and he's like, oh cool, it's a 3/4, right? And so I think we're safe to just kind of go for the width in this spot. We don't get our jacks to flip, right? That would have been the real bonus to playing the innovative blacksmith, was it gets to attack and then jacks gets to flip here. But I think I'm okay with that not happening just yet. Now I'm just gonna send him in at this point. We have the catch in hand, and it's like I assume that he's just gonna block our jacks, and so I prefer to save the catch for another turn if we needed to protect a unit or something, instead of just playing the forge onto jacks and not having it do anything. All right, Seraphine on board. Pick up the blacksmith here. I think I would prefer the Panopane to the Fixin' 5000. It tends to just soak up a lot of the removal that they're playing, into where Seraphine isn't exactly a scary unit at this point. Don't need to quick attack into Seraphine, right? If she was a 4/4, we'd want to quick attack into her, but her only being a 1/4, we're safe with the tough. Another blacksmith. Sure, let's slam it. If he has a like a pirouette or something, I'm fine with it. And then the thing that this lets us do is we did hit scout, and so now as we play Ornn next turn, we can look to copy the scout rake, and that should be enough to finish off the game. Hopefully. Opponent wants to drop a bunch of Plaza Guardians, and we say, here's my scout and Ornn. So what's this? 2 damage to Jax, 2 damage to Blacksmith. Okay, so the Blacksmith dies. I'm just gonna move the Scout Rake over to our Overwhelm unit. That doesn't feel like a big loss. We're probably gonna lose Jax on the turn, but the Ruthless Raider should be getting good attacks here. So he comes in. I assume that Plaza Guardian's gonna block, take it down with a catch. Then we can re-equip. No, we can't re-equip the Scout Rake. We could catch the Scout Rake down, but that doesn't strike me as being an effective round. Plaza Guardian costs 2. You don't have to worry about him. Now, what's this? Our Jax is up to 7 attack. I'm gonna catch him to make sure that he gets up to 8, so that we have the 8 power strike for our Ornn. Opponent takes it, falls to 1, no big surprise. We can make it to the next attack. Hopefully, we'll be okay. Seraphine's real close to flipping. This is another one of these damn spots to it. It's gonna be, LOL, it's a sputtering song spinner. Here comes a load of bullshit. Hope you are ready for a big old load of bullshit. Alright, damage onto Jax. Why can't I copy the rake? Equip me with an exact copy of an ally's equipment or the strongest equipment from hand. I want the strongest equipment from hand. Like, it's not horrible to give Ornn the. I guess he gets overwhelmed, but I was really intending on him to pick up the rake. I don't know what happens if we hit done. Like, if we hit done, do we get the scout rake? Like, what's the worst that happens? The
Make sure you stretch.
of an ally's equipment or the strongest equipment from hand. Alright, I'm gonna hit done. It won't let us pick the one in hand, but let's see what or means. Can't wait to fucking find out. Can't wait to find out. Because the strongest equipment on board is probably that stupid tough thing. Okay, we hit the scout rake. Yeah, fucking stress me out, dumbass game. Dumbass game being stressful. Blood for blood, sure thing. Okay. You got your Plaza Guardians. Does he ever attack here? Like with these 6s attacking directly into Ornn? Who's that scarier for? Is that scarier for me or scarier for him? Like he's already played one Disintegrate. I don't think they play... Like how many Disintegrates could they really be playing? Is it more than one? Oh. Well. I guess he's got... Well, interesting. So he hits Jax, or he hits Ornn, but it's not enough to actually kill Ornn. So we should be able to open and get the ram. So about shit my pants when I saw that thing come on board. I don't know what I was expecting to happen with the thing coming down, but I saw that flashbang trap and just went, oh fuck, oh fuck. All right. All right. Ornn unlocks victory. Game 3 against Seraphine.
This is too much celebrating for my tastes.
All right. Whew. Fucking rise, man. That's what we should be saying, right? That's what we should be saying. Fucking rise. What a dum-dum. Alright, though. I'm going to get rid of everything here. We need a more high-powered start. Boom Baboon is more of a ancillary piece to the high-powered starts, and it's not what I'm really looking for here. Not a great collection of early plays here. We're going to need something strong in the early game. Maybe we'll pick up a cycle unit pretty quick. So that makes the hand at least turn around and power some. Opponent kept 2. I'd expect at least one Mystic Shot style card to be coming at us. Boom Baboon on board. I won't attack into Seraphine here. We need a little bit more time for stuff, and being able to hook her out of combat with Flame Chompers buys us quite a bit of time in that sense, and so she comes down, we'll just pass. Ideally, we'll get to make some attacks here. I will attack into Samira.
Just an impression.
Says no thank you. I'd like for you to Mystic Shot my unit again. He says, I remember that last game in that Mystic Shot. That's what I'd like to see.
No problem.
Alright, seems reasonable. Still wish we had a little bit more aggression happening this game, but I like getting that shut down on Samira. It's unfortunate with the Fallen Rider. Like, I wonder at what space, like, an opponent just says, all right, well, you know, I didn't Blade's Edge or Boom Baboon, but I will Blade's Edge the Fallen Rider. Like, if something like that ever really comes about. Pirouette's a different piece of the puzzle there, but okay. Looks like we're stalled for the turn. Ooh, Ravenous Flock. Can't do anything about that. I'd Vi, you're gonna have to do some work this game. We got the combo, but this is one of the matchups to where, you know, Sion's quite a bit stronger, but Sion is nowhere near flipping this game. He's at 5 ticks right now. It's not a lot to do. A lot of utility, not a lot of power. Where you at, Vi?
I'm doing this my way.
Something exciting. Okay, Sump Dredger. That Sump Dredger was about as exciting of a draw as we could pick up. Very glad to see him turn up. We can start popping off with him and blowbacks and Risen Riders and stuff. If opponent wants to play Plaza Guardians, we do have access to pirouettes. But I think what I want to be doing here is I'm gonna drop the Risen Rider. I'm looking to blow back Seraphine, discarding Flame Chomper's Sion, and then looking to Spinning Axe the Flame Chompers to get the kill on Seraphine with. I'm hoping he spends, like a little bit of mana here so that we aren't just kind of caught with our pants down in terms of trying to get this kill. But, I mean, if the kill doesn't go through, we still have Pirouette in hand to potentially stop a lot of what she's doing. Now, opponent just threw down, like, 2 spells and pulled them all back. Kind of curious what that amounts to. It makes me like not entirely want to just be discarding Sion here, but he's just not doing anything for so long. I think if opponent, spends a bunch of spells here to take down Vi, then we're still just like okay. I think I'm okay with how that plays out. If we get to face for 8 damage, take the Seraphine off of the board, and hopefully be, close to burn range. 3 spells to flip, though. That's that's so close in terms of, like, if he actually has the 3rd spell, that's so bad. All right, I'm not gonna go for the kill on her just yet. Well, this is kind of like the thing, the problem that we had in that previous game as well, just not going for that kill onto Seraphine. But I mean, if she's got to flip this turn and we throw away a Pirouette and a Spinning Axe, we are just toast. We're so toast if that's what happens here. And so, like, if this is a Disintegrate, Mystic Shot, Disintegrate, High Note, whatever it is to actually kill Vi, then we're just so fucked. Like with the Seraphine being flipped in the mix. It's 2 spells coming in. I think if he had a Disintegrate play onto Vi, he would have just snapped it off, right? That's something that makes sense to me. It strikes me as this being more along the lines of him having like double Blade's Edge onto our Risen Rider or something. So he takes down the Risen Rider. How do we feel now about any of these Pirouette plays? He's only got 1 mana left. And so there's a couple of different angles that I'm looking at with this, in the sense that if we Spinning Axe onto Vi, that's going to take her up to 8. We'll take the opponent to 7. That doesn't really feel like we're getting close enough to a kill. I'm just going to go and try and take this Seraphine down. It's tough to have a 1 mana card here. He's already played 2 Jury Rigs. He hasn't played any Blade's Edges this game, but they typically only play 1 copy. And so if we get her off of the board, I think we're in decent shape. It at least stops a lot of the bullshit that they're going to be doing next turn. God damn it. In terms of, playing Plaza Guardian and then dropping a bunch of copy spells. God damn it. All right. Well, we might have a chance. It's just the copy spells are all at burst speed, and so he adds a Plaza Guardian, we Pirouette, and then he gets to play like 2 and 3 copy things. He's already time tricked, so he doesn't get to copy this. What a frustrating moment. There's a Plaza Guardian. 1 to her, stun the thing. So at least I guess, maybe. Maybe a thing here is that he's only going to get 2 more on board. Like, if he has a blood for blood, then, you know, fine, fuck it, whatever, you did it. But if he only hits us for 14 and takes us to 6, then we do have the chance to kill with Vi next turn. God damn it. So what is this? This is a Disintegrate play onto Vi. Oh my god. Alright. Well, I like the play that we went for. I felt like that was very positive in the sense that if we get the takedown on Seraphine, like, what are we doing with a pirouette at that point? It's just the point of contention starts to be we could have actually done more burn damage, right? And now we're at this spot to where, kind of regardless of what burn spells we draw, we're just done. That's frustrating. It's just like the only way out of that position is another 1-mana spell. Like, I don't know, man. That's so weird to me. Also, in the sense that, like, they had the Disintegrate there at the end of the game. I wonder at what point they had the Disintegrate. If they had the Disintegrate and the Mystic Shot, or what actually went about that made it sequence like that. That's like taking all that damage from Vi just opens you up to losing the game so easily. I don't know. That's wild. But nonetheless, Anivia, not surprised to see this at least once on the day. That's at the top of our must-ban list. Let's get that shit out of the way. Jump on in. Damn, brutal. Alright, well, let's see what we can do, though. So we're up against Twisted Fate's Swain. I'm reasonably happy to start with the Artisan. I'd like to find something else in the space of being cheaper. And so it's not horrible being on the evens and going Favorite Artisan into Combat Cook, but I'd like to have another early play to go with this stuff. Didn't find it. We can kind of go toe-to-toe with their late game, but a lot of it depends on what their removal suite looks like. And so if we were playing open deck list and we could see, oh, they're playing 2 Scorched Earths, 2 Disintegrates, then we would have a pretty good idea of what was happening. But we don't really have a good picture of how safe our Ornn is. Oh, what a fucking draw, man. Well, if he's gonna pass, I'm okay with that. Our hand does. our hand of triple entrancing lure doesn't do fucking anything, and so I'll give that a break.
There are stories in the ringing of steel.
Make It Rain's fine. Doesn't kill our 3 health unit. That's all I was really worried about in that space. And then, I mean, I guess we're stuck just playing Parts Made Whole. Like, I'm not quite willing to just forge our units here. But I guess at least an opponent hasn't really done anything this game. I think I like attacking here. One of the things that we're going to kind of run into in this space is he's got, like, he wants to level up his Swain, right? And so he needs to play cards like Twisted Fate, and then just taking the unit off of the board and removing his option to level up the Swain feels kind of okay. Now that he's come in and said, LOL, it's the... LOL, it's the tentacle path. Fuck you. Makes us feel a little bit worse about it, but I think that's still fine. Alright, we'll add in the Ruthless Raider. Gonna add in Jax.
Wanna line up for your beatdowns or go all at once?
So next turn, we're definitely playing Hearthblood Mender onto Jax. We just have to have something go right, and so we can safely just pass with all this mana up. Should be able to play it after the fact. So we'll boost the Jax. Let's see what kind of nonsense we get to face down now. just such a brutal space to be in after that previous game. Okay. We can manage this. We get the Light of Acacia back in our hand. We can then play it. Let's put it on our Tough Bro over here. And then we can Entrancing Lure in on the Tentacle. Well, not with that unit anymore. I guess we don't really need to be drawing the cards. Ideally, we would get this attack with with our quick attacker, but we can't leave this tentacle around. We can kind of manage with this board if opponent doesn't have the tentacles coming at us, but it's just done if it's already there.
Do you hear her voice?
I'll take everything.
Okay, this is the biggest damage prevent on the highest powered unit. Gotta take it. Now let's see what else we can do. So we don't have any heal, but we don't get killed by Make It Rain at the moment. We do die to we do die to Nox and Fervor, but there's just nothing we can do about that in this space anyways, so no reason to play around it. Sure. Damn. Alright, well. That game was lost. Glad we're at least not playing best of one. We still have a shot to win. I'm actually kind of happy with how winnable of a space that game was in, given that I don't remember what the opening hand was, but like Ornn 1 unit and double entrancing lure into a third entrancing lure, like to be in a spot to where that game would have been really close if he hadn't had the stun on our quick attack there, and so. No complete complaints with that one. But on to the next one. This is a back alley bar deck. I can't wait to see our day end with a 20 damage OTK from Ezreal. I live and breathe for it.
What wondrous discoveries await below?
All right, I'll lead off with the Artisan. No reason to throw down the Ruthless Raider and just have it trade with the Conchologist. Still a very strong target a couple of turns from now if we forge it up. So I like to go with the Sandstorm Amulet in these spots. We're here about just winning this game as fast as we can, and I don't need to just like try and soak up a bunch of mana at this point. And so let's just go big, swing in for as hard as we can with this Fearsome, and then hopefully he won't have blockers for this Fearsome the rest of the way. Sure. Right, if he got to block with the Otterpuss and we didn't deal any damage, that 5 damage feels much better than gaining 1 more mana.
I thought you'd never ask.
Ezreal comes in. We could just pass. Let's wait and see what he does. We can at least take the point of damage. The spell will go to hand, and now we can drop Combat Cook, so we get to heal that point back. It shouldn't be too relevant in this game, but might as well go about it right. Interesting. So like at this moment, I don't even really care about this Ezreal, and so if we get to open next turn and then just heal onto the Innovative Blacksmith, that's going to be pretty good. Like I get that he's just playing the Ezreal card because it was going to fleeting away, but I think we have a ton of time here, and we do get to just protect this unit. We don't need to take a shot at Ezreal right now.
Stand with me by the light, as my ancestors did.
And it should be tough for them to have a unit that can block the Blacksmith. Like, I don't know, I guess you can play another Conchologist and hit a combat trick or something, but
Sparkle, huh? Well, maybe.
it's strong right now. Ooh, I just need to stop and eat some of those nuts, you know? That's what's... That's going to change this. Interesting. I didn't realize the stress defense actually takes away the attack off of an equipped unit. Good to know. Good to know. Alright, Clockling comes in. Don't really care about too much of this stuff. We're really just going to be trying to push in for the kill next turn. So this round I'm looking to go Apprentice into Blacksmith into Ruthless Raider. We'll lead with the Apprentice since he shouldn't have any removals before it comes on board. Damage is damage, sure. The Forged Blacksmith. What you got? We'll go with Pot of Pain out of this one. Get that single point of damage ready to roll through. It's like I'm kind of interested in seeing this combat cook just die. If we get to then either re-equip, which I don't think I'm super interested in, or if we want to generate a 3-2 off of the parts made whole. It's just the question starts to be like, at what space does he really get to run out in front of this? Like the overwhelm is so strong, but if we're gonna come out here and just start running into like wallops and stuff, then it doesn't feel very good. Like I think we don't necessarily need to win the game this turn. Like I want to entrancing lure onto the blacksmith into Ezreal, but how else does this go? Let's assume he just has some bullshit answer to the innovative blacksmith. He blocks the mender. Like it should. Well, the problem is he can block our 3 with Seraphine, block our 4 with this, and then he's only taking like 4 damage. But I think we're still stuck just kind of going for it. So we're just not going to have the time to get this Fish-a-Whack on board. So we draw some dudes, entrancing lure. Get to draw another one. Jax turns up. Relevant. He's relevant. I give him that. And we'll try and take down the Ezreal. Troll Chant's kind of interesting in the sense we could maybe stop an Ezreal attack next turn as well. But my ultimate concern here is we're not going to get a kill. He's going to drop a back alley bar and then just kill us. So it's rough. You gotta like seeing the time trick though, right? It's not just spewing off a bunch of spells to immediately get the save. He really just needs the answer to this Ruthless Raider, but close. It's close. Wallop and Quicken. So Ezreal dies, Seraphine survives, the Clockling dies. Okay. So the big thing with all of that is it should be tough to actually get in kind of like an OTK space. This isn't the Seraphine deck we've been playing over and over and over again with all of the Plaza Guardians. This deck's going to try and chain off like 8 spells and then just kill us with a flipped Ezreal. And so I think this is a much better space. Now, do we want to try and fish fight the Seraphine? I think I'm okay with this. So what we're going to follow up with here is like we want to play Combat Cook. Excuse me. But we're definitely playing Jax. Kind of want to play Overwhelm Guy. That's 4. Fish fight gets us up to 6. Leaves us at a 3 bank. Or we can play 6, 8 with Jax. Okay. Which is like we've already hit all of the good equipment. There's nothing really to improvise here. What if we just fish fight directly onto the unit? I don't think I like that. This can still be reasonable in the sense if we say add Jax, add Ruthless Raider, and then put the Pot of Pain onto the Ruthless Raider.
I did my best.
Okay, I feel much better about this game now. I think we're okay. So make sure we don't mess this up. We want a Ruthless Raider. I don't think he's going to play any more spells this turn, so it should be safe, but let's at least play Jax last just to be more sure about it. It's highlighted our Pot of Pain, but we have another 2 in hand. That's interesting. Well, there goes a lot of our way to spend mana, but is what it is. Jax isn't going to be up to the full 7 now, which is the kind of pain point on this board. Is it other? Oh, each equipped, so he will get up to 7.
Keep it moving, team.
I will be worthy.
Hammer, tongs, and
Alright, there's the attack we're making. We're just going to send our dumb weaponsmith out here to the end, hooking the clock link. Should be enough the rest of the way, and if he's going to drop burn spells on us, hopefully that troll chance enough. Whew. Alright. One more battle against Seraphine. It's just been literally every single match. Literally every single match has been Seraphine. Whew. It's fucking draining. Alright, but in with this one. Let's see. Let's go ahead and just get rid of everything. Like, the Sump Dredger is kind of an interesting keep, but we don't have, like, I don't want our game plan to be starting with Sump Dredger on 3, Lost Soul on 4. We need to find something early just to force the opponent into action. So, kind of found it. Draven's Biggest Fan makes it work a little bit better. I mean, I'm actually realistically thinking of just playing the Reborn Grenadier and attacking with the Fallen Rider, but that strikes me as just like a little bit too aggressive. That's just a little bit too much. So we'll hold out on that one. Fine enough to go ahead and make this attack, though. As we're about to drop a very kind of non-overwhelming collection of units, just going ahead and getting rid of that dum-dum feels okay. Do we want to go ahead and Mystic Shot this Conchologist? Like, I think so. Like, we're not doing anything else, and we need to be punching damage in. So, it's kind of an interesting spot now, especially if he pranks us. Right, this is a fairly weak prank. It just hits 2 cards that we're going to be discarding anyways. Prank then hitting a Spinning Axe is a little bit different story, but it just feels like if we're going to bank that mana and then play Draven and attack Draven into a Conchologist, we don't actually do anything for the turn. So this way, it's like, I mean, if he has an Aftershock or whatever to kill Draven, you did it. But if he's going to be getting a block, make him work for it with a real unit here. Okay. Rip Draven. Don't like going into turn 4 having done 0 damage, but at least opponent hasn't got to really build up anything here. And now a Victor. I don't think playing our cards really does anything. what a terrible spot to be in. I think the Vi should be okay next turn. If we pick up something like Rummage, we might be able to make something work, but I'm still not in a spot to where I want to just add Fallen Rider. It dies to pastry tosses and group shots and everything. It's not very strong at this space. Things can be a little bit different with Sump Dredger, but I don't feel like it really does enough. I think if we add Vi and she gets stunned, it's fine, but ideally we should be able to get to attack with Vi into Victor and then just crash for it. Like, if it's like if we play Vi into Victor and then he has to play 2 and 3 spells to take her down, that's fairly reasonable. But I mean, like, even more so, what if we kind of change our mind here and deal, well, it doesn't exactly work how I want. You want to be able to stun, but you can't. Well, we could deal the damage to face and stun, but then we can't follow up with the blowback. I mean, maybe that's just where we're at this point, is we need to get the damage in. I could be convinced. He's going to immediately hit lifesteal after we do this, but like, I just don't see us actually doing anything here if we don't start to attack and pressure damage. It's like, he can add a fresh unit here, that's fine. Now we can go after Victor because we're just stuck, but if he had to add like a real unit to the board at that space, that's a decent spot for us. It's just, this game's done. We've been so slow in terms of being able to actually react to anything. We really need to just like find a Sion and get him on the board or something. Yep. Our burn spells don't even kill this stuff. Great, great place to be. Great place to be. So now he gets to pick up the Mystic Shot. I think we still lead in with the Dredger. And then we just can't add units that are going to get killed by Mystic Shot. I don't know. This game is this game is pretty shot at this point. Like he's so safe to just be like, oh cool, you're going to deal 0 damage this turn. Here's a back alley bar, right? It's just not anything we can do. You heard it here first.
The sunflower got me good.
Alright, so Grenadier and Spinning Axe. It's at least our opportunity to slam in for a bunch of damage. Like, as it stands, he hopefully only has 2 blockers here. Why not? Why not? Just I don't know. That's just what a way to end it.
No sweat.
But we take him to 6, and it's like my space now is we at least have a shot with Sion, right? He should be pretty close to being flipped. So he's probably good. I bet he's realistically not even close. Realistically not even close. There he is. We drew him. Okay. What are you at? Oh, he's exactly at flips. All right. Well, let's play it and see what happens, right? Let's play it and see what happens. Says, I'm ready to get stunned. Stun me so good. Sure, why not? Just literally having it all.
It's not bragging if you could back it up.
Alright, maybe we'll draw another one, right? What a depressing game. Oh. Is that really a new spell? That was the first Mystic Shot he played this game? I saw that he was at 1 mana and just assumed he couldn't play anything this turn. Oh boy. Alright, well, the game's keeping me into it just enough to be interested, but this game was really done like 5 turns ago.
The strong don't want mercy.
What do we got? Draven's biggest fan? Absolutely do not want to draw Draven at this point, so... Feels pretty good. Feels pretty good. Oh, not Ezreal. I want to hook the Conchologist out of combat. I mean, there's a chance we get in for 2 damage this turn. If opponent's blocking with Ezreal, you gotta know how bad it is. Okay, let's just be done. All right, so that's brutal. I'm really surprised that we made it through literally 6 matches of playing against Seraphine and not murdering ourselves earlier, but it is what it is. I know we didn't play super well on the day. I think the first couple of games were kind of rough, but then we recovered that space to where I'm still kind of like the only thing I'm like really super upset with was that shark play. We made the entire like lineup play set up to deal with the shark, and then it just didn't come together. Just not understanding how the card worked was pretty brutal. If we could have gone back and like redone everything there, then that kind of changes the course of the entire day after that. But after that, the hope was kind of lost, and so I kind of got a little bit bummed. But man, that last matchup was just fucking brutal. That was I would have rather just stopped at 2 losses than been forced to play that last match again, just between Ornn just getting completely shit on and everything, and it was kind of brutal. But at the end of the day, I'm pretty happy with how our lineup went. This is one of like the The first one of these is to where I feel like I was pretty spot on with how the meta was going to go, is to where we knew that we were going to have to play against that Plaza Guardian deck literally every single round, and we played against it 5 out of the 6. The back alley bar deck is essentially doing the same thing as we played in the last round, but I think it was pretty safe to say that we were going to play against the Plaza Guardian deck every single round, and we did, and we picked up a lineup that was, kind of ready to come in and handle that, and at the end of the day, I think that those matchups went pretty well. I'll have to go back and kind of recalculate how the matches actually fared there. But at the end of the day, when the next open rolls around, I think I'm going to be pretty comfortable with running this exact same lineup and being in a good space there. I'll have to see if there's nothing that really changes in terms of finding a better Plaza Guardian matchup. Like, I'm super happy with the Poppy deck. I don't see us ever removing the Poppy deck out of this lineup. The Ornn deck is good. I really like what's happening with it. We didn't play against any of like the random aggro stuff today, but I like how Ornn is really well positioned against the aggro decks of the meta, but still having the opportunities to beat those decks like Rise, right? We had some opportunities there. Didn't necessarily come through, but it's not the worst matchup in the world. It's the last kind of piece of the puzzle there is how much you really want to bank on the Draven deck, which I do like. But you can run into like awkward games like that last one we played where we were just 100% not in it, and it's kind of a bummer to be in just have a games against a deck where you feel like you just can't win if like things go slightly wrong, and it's kind of a bummer there. But that's gonna do it. I gotta stop. I'm still really kind of bummed after that last match, and so that's where we're gonna call it a day. And so I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way, and you had a good time watching. So this is Busted Me. Thank you for being here.